So, what is a DTS? Well, in Matthew 28:18-20, Jesus said to his disciples, "I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." This is the Great Commission, and it was among the last words Jesus spoke before ascending to the Father. As followers of Christ, joining with Christ's mission to bring all of humanity home is our responsibility. In 1956, Lauren Cunningham, the founder of YWAM, had a vision of waves of young missionaries crashing onto all the shores of the world, sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And over 60 years later, those waves are still crashing today. Discipleship Training School, also known as a DTS, is a 6-month program for young people to learn what fulfilling the Great Commission means and how to take part in it. The first 3 months are devoted to individual discipleship and learning. Students are assigned staff to meet with regularly to build relationship, help with processing, and seek God together. Each week's teaching is on a different topic, such as character and nature of God, biblical worldview, and Holy Spirit. The following 3 months, teams led by school staff will go on outreach to countries in the 1040 window. This is an opportunity for students to preach the gospel and to serve where needed. DTS will help catapult students into a missional life, whether this means living overseas in the future or serving in their local communities. God's commission to make disciples of all nations applies to all of us. In my DTS, I really stepped into so much identity of my relationship with the Lord and who God calls me to be. I really came into DTS thinking that I would figure out the rest of my plans for the rest of my life, God would speak to me. But He actually showed me just little bits and pieces of who I was, and that just propelled me forward as I was doing DTS and into life after. I remember during outreach, I really stepped into more of understanding what living missionally really is. I went to a very Muslim nation and it was hard to share the gospel, but I really realized that living missionally is actually what Jesus calls us to. It's not this one time where I go to the nations or I go on a missions trip and that's where I live missionally. No, we're called as missionaries, and Jesus even says in the Great Commission that we are to go to all nations, and that even includes our hometowns, our families, nearby neighbors, to tell them and to proclaim the love of Jesus and the gospel and the good news. In chapter 4 of the book of Acts, the Council of Elders told John and Peter to stop sharing about Jesus. In verse 20, their reply is, "We cannot stop telling about everything we have seen and heard." That was something that really impacted me in my DTS, and I hope that when you come, or if you come, that it would impact you too.